What if you could wake up tomorrow with a brand new version of your body? No chronic pain, no worn joints, no genetic damage accumulated over decades. Just a blank, fully grown clone, perfectly healthy, ready to carry everything that makes you you. Your memories, your skills, your identity, every scar you earned, every callus you built, stays mapped exactly where you left it. Your favorite coffee still tastes the same. Your favorite song still pulls at the same parts of your brain. The only thing that changes is the body carrying you through the world. For all of human history, evolution has been a slow, random dice roll. We waited generations for small changes, most of them useless, some of them deadly. We had no say in what we got. We just inherited what our parents passed down and took our chances. But what if that stopped being the case? What if evolution stopped being something that happens to you and became a choice you could actively make? Today, we're shrinking down to explore this future. We're going inside the blueprint of life to see how cloning could rewrite the rules of what it means to be human. The infinity atrium glitches. Fractal lights flicker across walls made of living glass, the pattern shifting faster than the eye can follow. Litty grins, taps a glowing console with one finger, and the world lurches. The entire room shrinks. The walls pull away, the ceiling rises, the floor drops out from under the class. They fall. Down, 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 faster and faster, the air growing thinner, the light growing brighter, past the thin layer of skin, past the thick mesh of muscle fibers, past complex molecules tangled like wet thread, past single atoms glowing faint silver in the dark. Every step down shrinks their scale by a factor of 1,000, by 1,000,000, by 1,000,000,000. When the fall stops, the world has bloomed into something entirely new. It's a glowing, pulsing universe they can walk through. Gravity holds them to a soft, warm surface that gives under their boots like packed sand. The air glows faint pink, thick with charged particles that hum against their skin. Around them, massive shapes drift slow through the glowing sky, too big to take in all at once. They land soft on a warm, red membrane. The journey inside the blueprint of life has begun. They steady their balance on the soft, yielding surface. The membrane hums with low, constant vibration, the pulse of the body's core rhythm thrumming up through their boots. A few steps forward, and the first giant shape drifts into full view. It's a red blood cell, massive as a full moon, glowing deep crimson against the pale pink sky. It drifts past slow and steady, rolling with the current of fluid that fills this space, carrying a cargo of oxygen bound to every inch of its surface. One drifts so close, the class can see the faint indentation at its center, can feel the faint pressure of its movement push against their shoulders. They step back, and another drifts by, then another, moving in a steady, endless flow like planets orbiting a shared sun. To their left, a sharp, bright shape cuts through the flow. It's a white blood cell, jagged and tense, moving far faster than the drifting red cells. It charges straight toward the class, and they scatter to the sides, pressing back against the membrane to let it pass. It doesn't even slow. 20 yards behind it, a wriggling rod-shaped invader is hot on its trail, the cell closing in to intercept and destroy the threat before it can spread. Once the chase fades into the distance, the class turns toward the faint blue glow on the horizon. It grows brighter as they walk, until the source comes into view. These are mitochondria, tiny compared to the blood cells but countless, each glowing soft, bright blue like a miniature nuclear reactor strung along the membrane. They hum with a higher, clearer vibration than the membrane's low pulse, generating every calorie of energy that keeps this cell, and the whole body, alive. This isn't just a collection of parts. It's a working, breathing, fighting world, every component playing its role to keep life moving forward. The class walks toward the blue glow, their boots pressing soft into the yielding membrane, every step sending a small ripple through the surface beneath them. The hum of the mitochondria grows louder as they move, until the sound wraps around them like a low blanket of vibration. Litty stops first and holds up a hand to signal the rest of the class to pause. They follow Litty's gaze, past the clusters of glowing blue reactors, and the structure comes into view. It rises from the membrane directly in front of them, miles high, twisting upward until the top vanishes into the glowing pink haze of the LittyVerse sky. It's the double helix of DNA, glowing neon bright, two twisting strands winding around each other like an endless roller coaster stretching into the sky. Litty spreads their arms wide and gestures up the full height of the structure. "Welcome to the blueprint," Litty says. "This is the code that built you." The class steps closer, and the structure of the helix resolves into clear detail. Two twisting rails, made of sugar and phosphate, curve up and up, smooth and glowing pale white. Between the two rails, rungs connect the strands, one after another, each glowing a distinct bright color. A glow's warm yellow. T matches it perfectly, binding tight to hold the rung in place. C glows deep royal blue. G binds to it, locking the structure steady. Each rung is a single letter in the oldest code on Earth. 3 billion letters, stitched into every single cell in your body. Every instruction for building every part of you, from your first heartbeat to your last breath, is written right here into this twisted spiral. This is where cloning begins. Cloning is just copying this code, base by base, letter by letter, to build a whole new version of you from scratch. The class begins walking up the spiral backbone, their boots clicking softly against the smooth, glowing surface of the rails. Each step takes them higher, the wind from the pulsing cell around them pushing light against their faces. Between the twisting rails, the rungs glow bright one after another, each a single letter in the 3 billion letter sequence that built every generation of life leading to you. As they climb, holograms flicker to life around them, popping into clear view one by one. First, faces of grandparents and great-grandparents, soft and smiling, matching the genetic patterns written into the code. The trail stretches back, past hunter-gatherers wrapped in animal hides, past nomadic farmers planting the first crops, past small groups of hominids huddled around fire in the African savanna. It goes further, back past ancient fish swimming through warm prehistoric seas, back past single-celled organisms floating in the primordial ocean, back 3.5 billion years to the first self-replicating molecule that started all life on Earth. Every single change that got us here is written into this code. A spark of bright red lightning suddenly jumps between two adjacent rungs. The class flinches back. One letter slips out of place, replaced by a different copy. Most mutations like this do nothing at all, Liddy says, stepping forward to gesture at the altered rung. Some break the code, causing flaws that break the organism before it can grow. Only a tiny few change things for the better. One single wrong letter lets an organism run faster, see further, resist a deadly disease. That mutation passes to the next generation, and it survives when others don't. That's how natural evolution works. Slow, random, driven by one rare lucky mistake at a time. Below the class, tiny proteins assemble themselves in constant motion, robotic construction crews folding and locking into shape, building the molecular machines that keep the cell working every second of every day. Evolution has rolled this dice over and over for 3.5 billion years to get to where we are today. The class holds their position on the twisting backbone, watching the constant motion of the proteins below, each crew folding into shape to carry out the code's instructions. The entire helix pulses in steady rhythm, matching the beat of the cell around them, each glowing strand vibrating with stored energy. Litty leans forward, taps the nearest rung with a finger, and the pulse speeds up. The vibration rises from a low hum to a sharp thrum that travels up through the soles of the class's boots. Everyone grabs the rail of the backbone to steady themselves. The double helix tenses, the two twisting rails pulling away from each other at the base of the structure. The hydrogen bonds holding each rung together snap one after another, soft bright pops echoing through the glowing air. The two strands start to separate, pulling apart like a zipper being drawn open from the bottom up. One rung after another splits in half, yellow A separating from its matching T, deep blue C pulling away from its bound G. Each matching base stays attached to its original sugar phosphate rail. The split moves upward, faster now, past the class's feet, past their waists, past their shoulders, until the entire visible length of the helix is split into two identical mirror image strands. They hang parallel to each other, glowing bright, every base waiting for a new matching partner to bind to. This is the first step of every cell division, Litty says, raising their voice over the fading thrum. The view pulls back fast, snapping out of the glowing cell, zooming up through layers of tissue, past skin, past muscle, until bright white light floods the entire frame. We land in the future lab. Clean, sharp lines, cool air that smells of sterilized glass and controlled humidity. Right in the center of the room hangs a floating, transparent pod. Inside the pod, a blank human form waits, suspended in clear nutrient fluid, made of shimmering warm gold gel. Liddy steps to the edge of the pod, taps the control panel on the side, and the first wave of nanobots moves in. Millions of them swarm into the gel, tiny glowing specks that move like a swarm of intelligent fireflies, each following the precise map of the original DNA blueprint. They start from the inside out, weaving tissue layer by layer, like 3D printers building the body one particle at a time. The first structures to form are capillaries, tiny as threads, stitching themselves into a dense interconnected network across the entire form. The nanobots lock each new cell in place, and the network glows soft red as the first fluid circulates through it. Next, muscle fibers align, stacking into long, strong bundles that wrap around the future skeleton, each fiber contracting once to test its new strength, then settling into place. Fat cells form, soft and dense, filling the gaps between muscle and skin, matching the original's exact proportions. Organs bloom one by one, soft and pink, each folding into its correct shape, starting their first slow cycles before they even need to work. The skeleton pulls itself together next. Tiny particles of calcium click into place one after another, vertebrae stacking perfectly on top of each other, ribs curving out around the new lungs, the flat plates of the skull locking into a smooth, solid shape. Last of all, nerves grow out from the central brainstem, thin, glowing filaments that reach every corner of the new body, linking every tissue, every organ, every muscle fiber back to the waiting brain. The nanobots finish their work, and the swarm fades, leaving a fully shaped body floating in the nutrient fluid, waiting to wake. The pod holds its steady glow, the nutrient fluid rippling slow around the fully formed body. For 3 weeks, the system has fed and grown the clone, letting every cell settle, every connection strengthen, every system test itself in silence. Now the nutrient fluid drains, slow at first, then faster, pulling away from the skin to leave the form exposed to the air inside the pod. A soft, warm breeze flows through the pod chamber, stirring the hair on the clone's head. The room holds its breath. Every eye in the lab is fixed on the face behind the transparent glass. Then the upper eyelid flutters. Just once, a tiny twitch, barely visible from the observation platform. Someone in the back of the room inhales sharp, the sound echoing off the clean white walls. 10 seconds pass. The eyelid flutters again. This time, it doesn't stop. It pulls down slow, then opens. The clone blinks. The light from the lab floods in, hitting the clone's eyes. They are wide, clear, empty of lived memory, bright with newborn curiosity. They focus on the observation window, then drift to Liddy standing at the front, then scan every corner of the room, taking in every shape, every light, every movement. The clone's chest rises. It's shallow at first, just a small lift, then it pulls deeper, faster, and the first rush of air fills the new lungs. A soft gasp escapes the clone's mouth, the first sound it makes in the world. The clone's chest pauses, then falls slow, releasing the first breath back into the air. A second later, a low, steady thud echoes through the room, picked up by the heart monitor beside the pod. One beat, then another. Steady, strong, regular. A whole new human body, grown from a single cell scraped from the original's arm. No mother, no 9 months of gestation. Just the code, copied precisely, built intentionally, brought to life on purpose. The lab erupts in quiet applause. Liddy leans forward, hands resting on the edge of the pod, and smiles. That's how it starts. To understand what makes full-body cloning possible, Liddy taps the console again, and we shrink down once more. We cut through the lab's outer wall, dive through a small glass container holding a tiny splinter of human tissue, and land inside a regenerating human liver. The tissue was taken from a 2-year-old donor, just a 1-millimeter biopsy. Now it's growing, rebuilding itself into a whole new healthy organ. We move toward the edge of the growing tissue and watch the first cell divide. One round cell pulls itself apart, the DNA condensing into bright X-shaped chromosomes that line up down the center. The chromosomes split, each half pulling hard to opposite ends of the cell, the membrane pinching in between, until one cell becomes 2 identical perfect halves. The process repeats, over and over, each division creating more cells to build the new tissue. Right in the center of the growth zone, stem cells glow bright gold, like tiny scattered suns, their DNA still unwritten, waiting to become any cell the regenerating liver needs. A few feet away from the growth zone, a patch of damaged, aged tissue sits thick and scarred. Specialized cleanup cells swarm into the patch, breaking down the old dead cells molecule by molecule, clearing the debris away to make room for new healthy growth. The damaged tissue dissolves slow, melting away into the nutrient fluid around it. New cells move in to fill the gap, locking into neat geometric patterns that match the original healthy liver structure, strong and functional. We zoom in close to the end of one chromosome and see the telomeres, the protective caps that fray shorter every time a cell divides, until they break and the cell dies. The old telomeres are frayed, broken, just short nubs sticking off the end of the DNA strand. Now, tiny repair molecules swarm along the strand, adding new base pairs one by one, extending the telomere, rebuilding the broken caps, until the telomere stretches back to its original full length, young and intact, ready for dozens more divisions. This isn't magic. It's just turning on the biological code that built us in the womb. We can reset the clock. We can rebuild what age wore down. We zoom back out, climbing from the end of the chromosome, through the regenerating liver, through the glass container, up past the lab benches, until the full future lab spreads out around us again, bright white and clean, the floating clone pod still glowing in the center. We have two pieces of the puzzle now. We have regeneration, the ability to reset biological age, to rebuild what time has worn down, to repair what injury has broken. We have cloning, the ability to take a single cell from your original body, copy every base of your DNA precisely, and grow a whole new, fully formed body from scratch. Put them together, and what do you get? A new, healthy, young body, with all your DNA, all your original genetic code, every telomere reset to its original youthful length, every cell free of the accumulated damage of a lifetime of living. You don't have to wait for a broken organ to heal when you can grow a whole new one. You don't have to live with the slow decay of age when you can step into a body that is as young and healthy as you were at 25, when you are 75, 100, 150. For thousands of years, humans have chased immortality. It's been the stuff of fairy tales, of holy quests, of magic potions and hidden springs. Kings have searched the world for it. Alchemists have spent their whole lives trying to brew it. No one has ever found it. But today, it's not a myth anymore. It's not a fairy tale. It's a problem, an engineering problem. We have the pieces. We know the path. All we have to do now is solve it. That's the shift cloning brings to the table. What was once impossible becomes just another problem to build, to test, to perfect. The question isn't if we can do it anymore. The question is, what we do when we can. We move down the wide white corridor from the core cloning lab, and Liddy pushes open a set of heavy sliding glass doors. Before us stretches the tissue forge, a massive, high-ceiling chamber filled with hundreds of floating bioreactors, clear glass spheres suspended from the ceiling, each filled with warm, amber nutrient broth that glows soft from internal LED grow lights. Cloning isn't just for building whole new bodies, Liddy says. It starts with the problem we need to solve right now, feeding 8 billion people without destroying the planet. Liddy gestures to the nearest row of tanks. We zoom in through the clear glass and watch the growth process unfold step by step. A single muscle cell taken from a chicken feather divides, again and again, spreading into thin, translucent sheets of pink tissue. The sheets layer on top of each other. Muscle fibers twist together, growing like vines up an invisible trellis, getting thicker and stronger with every hour. Fat cells form, soft and white, weaving between the muscle fibers to create the perfect marbling you'd find in a prime grass-fed steak. Robotic arms reach through the top of each bioreactor, gently stretching and pulling the growing tissue like a baker kneading dough, training the muscle to grow strong the way it would in a living, moving animal. Liddy pulls the opaque safety curtain back on one full-size tank. There it rests, a whole chicken breast, golden pink and firm, grown entirely from a single cell taken from one feather. Next to it, a full ribeye steak, grown from a 1mm biopsy taken from a live cow. No slaughter, no factory farms, no massive methane emissions from thousands of head of cattle. Just meat, grown exactly how you want it, with the fat content you want, the texture you want, no antibiotics, no risk of disease. Liddy moves to the next tank and pulls the curtain back again. Inside, a whole salmon fillet, pink and flaky, grown from a single scale taken from a wild fish. All of it, from a single cell. All of it, no animal has to die to put it on your plate. Liddy turns away from the salmon tank and gestures toward the next row of bioreactors, stretching back into the dimness of the chamber. These don't grow food, they say. They grow parts. The curtain slides open on the first tank. Inside, a cluster of artificial heart valves floats in the warm nutrient broth, soft but strong, lined with the patient's own cells. No risk of immune rejection, no waiting for a donor to pass away. Every year, thousands of people die waiting for a new heart valve. These valves are ready in 6 weeks, grown from a single skin cell taken from the patient's own arm. Next tank, a whole working kidney, pink and firm, filtering a steady stream of clear fluid through its structure. Every nephron intact, every blood vessel formed perfectly. 100,000 people wait for kidney transplants every year in the United States alone. Tens of millions more go without dialysis in low-income countries. This kidney grows in 3 months, no matching required. no anti-rejection drugs for the rest of the patient's life. Next, a full set of replacement lungs, soft and pink, the alveoli already expanding and contracting with gentle pumped airflow, free of the scar tissue that comes from years of smoking or disease. They were grown from the patient's own stem cells, modified to repair the genetic damage that caused the original lungs to fail. Next, a working pancreas, complete with functional beta cells that produce insulin on demand for people living with type 1 diabetes. Next, enhanced muscle tissue, woven into strong contractile bundles, ready to replace the wasted muscle of people with muscular dystrophy. Next, a full sheet of intact retina, the photoreceptors aligned perfectly, ready to restore sight to people losing their vision to macular degeneration or retinitis pigmentosa. Litty lets the curtain fall across the final retina tank, and the soft glow from the growing organ fades behind opaque fabric. They lean back against the rail, and their grin fades into something quieter, sharper, more serious. The room hums around us, the pumps circulating nutrient broth through each bioreactor, the growth lights holding every tissue at exactly the right temperature, every part of the process fully automated, fully tested. If we can grow meat for dinner, Litty says, we can grow new bodies for living. Think about what that means. We can rebuild what's broken. We can replace what's worn out. We can take a single cell from your body and grow every part of you again. Fresh, young, healthy, perfectly matched to your DNA. Every hard biological problem people thought would take centuries to solve, we've already solved them. We can grow the cells. We can assemble the tissue. We can build the organs. We can put all the parts together into a whole functional human body. The blueprints are written. The machines work. The tests check out. There's no secret step we're missing. The barrier isn't the biology anymore. It's not a problem of what we can do. It's a problem of what we're willing to ask. It's the courage to ask what comes next, after we master growing new bodies, after we take evolution out of nature's hands and put it in our own. We follow Litty out of the tissue forge, down a wide white corridor lined with frosted glass panels that glow soft silver. Our footsteps echo off the smooth floor, no other sound breaking the quiet that settled after Litty's final question. The corridor slopes gently downward, curving toward a set of massive double doors sealed with a glowing blue rune. Litty presses their palm to the rune. It flashes green. The doors swing open inward, slow, deliberate, giving the light inside time to spill out into the corridor before we step across the threshold. This is the memory bridge, Litty says, their voice softening to match the hush of the chamber. In the exact center of the room, suspended in a tank of clear conductive fluid, hangs a massive, intact human brain. Every neuron fires soft, pale blue, light that ripples outward to fill the entire room with a cool, living glow. Memories float to the fluid around it, bright, translucent orbs, each one holding a distinct moment. We can see them drift, slow and steady, past the surface of the tank. A child's hand wrapped around an adult's finger, a sunset over a mountain lake, the flash of a camera at a wedding. Emotions drift through the gaps between neurons as visible colors. Joy is warm gold, bleeding into the blue light. Grief is deep indigo, pooling in the lower curves of the brain. Fear is sharp crimson, crackling like static across the surface. Thoughts race between connections like lightning, fast as any supercomputer, leaving faint glowing trails that fade as quickly as they appear. A thick, flat neural interface cable runs from the base of the brain tank, across the polished floor, to a second port on the opposite wall. That port leads to the clone's new body, waiting in its pod just out of sight. Everything is in place. Everything is connected. The transfer is ready to begin. Litty taps a control panel built into the side of the brain tank. A low hum rises through the floor, vibrations that travel up through the soles of our shoes. The interface cable glows brighter, blue light bleeding out along its length from the tank to the clone's pod. For 3 heartbeats, nothing changes. Then a single spark jumps the gap between the cable and the clone's port. A flood of white light pours out of the cable, streaming directly into the clone's new brain. It pours in like a waterfall, millions of moments cascading all at once, billions of facts stacking into place, every muscle memory locking into the new motor pathways, every favorite song replaying its first note, every name of every person the original ever loved clicking into the new memory centers. The clone's chest rises sharply, all in one rush. It gasps, a sharp, ragged sound that cuts through the hum of the equipment. Its fingers twist against the gel inside the pod, nails dragging across the transparent wall. The light keeps coming. It keeps pouring, faster and brighter, until the whole pod glows white from the inside out. Then it cuts off. The room drops back to the soft blue glow of the original brain. The clone is still. Its chest heaves, each breath coming faster than the last. It blinks, once, twice, clearing the gel from its eyes. It opens its mouth. The voice comes out rough, raw, still adjusting to working lungs. "I know you," it says. "I remember that walk along the beach when we were 7. I remember the taste of the lemonade we bought from the stand at the end of the boardwalk. I remember the way the sand got between my toes. But I don't feel it." It pauses, swallows hard, tries to push the memory out into something real. It's like looking at someone else's photo album. "I know the event happened, but I wasn't there." "That's the trick," Liddy says, their voice steady, already knowing the outcome. "Memory isn't identity. You can copy the data, but you can't copy the lived experience that makes you you." The room hangs silent. The hum of the equipment drops to a faint background thrum, all focus locked on the clone inside the pod. Liddy nods once toward a shadowed section of the wall on our left. A hidden panel slides open. The light spills in, and the original steps out. They walk slow, boots tapping soft against the polished floor, straight toward the pod where their clone waits. The pod's seal hisses. It retracts upward, the transparent front sliding out of the way to let the clone step forward. The clone's bare feet hit the floor, same as the original's. It steadies itself, hands loose at its sides, and lifts its head. Then it freezes. The original stops 3 feet away. They don't move. They don't speak. They just stand and stare. Every line of the face matches. Every angle of the jaw. Every curve of the brow. Every detail of the bone structure. Genetically, they are identical, 100% the same DNA. Every base pair matches perfectly. But the difference is visible, hanging in the air between them, so thick you could almost reach out and touch it. One has walked this earth for 40 years. One has walked this earth for 3 weeks. 2 versions of the same blueprint. 2 completely different people. They just stand. They just stare. No one breaks the silence. Litty breaks the silence. They step forward from the observation rail, walking slow between the 2 identical figures, one on each side of them. They stop, turning their head to look first at the original, then at the clone. "A clone is a reflection," Liddy says. They don't sugarcoat it. It's not the original. It's a new person, with the same blueprint, starting its own journey from scratch. The clone shifts its weight, 1 foot sliding forward an inch. It nods, slow, agreeing. It knows it. It can feel it. All the memories are there, written into the neurons, but every one of them belongs to someone else. This clone didn't bike down that hill at 17. It didn't fall. It didn't crack its jaw on the asphalt. It didn't lay in the ER waiting for stitches, shaking from the cold and the shock, laughing with the original's best friend when they brought a bad candy bar to cheer them up. The original did all that. The clone only has the file. That's the first hard truth cloning forces us to face. Liddy turns their head, looks straight out, directly to us. "We are not our DNA. Your code doesn't define who you are. You are the sum of every choice you ever made. You are every scratch, every scar, every sunburn, every wrong turn, every happy accident that ever shaped you, every conversation that changed your mind, every heartbreak that taught you to be softer, every victory that taught you to be stronger. You can copy the code. You can copy the memories. You can't copy the life." We follow Liddy out of the chamber, down a long corridor lined with clear glass walls. On the other side, rows of sealed pods hold something we never expected. Uplifted animals, genetically enhanced, cloned from carefully rewritten blueprints. Liddy stops at the first pod, and we press in close to the glass. Inside, a chimpanzee sits on a wooden bench, a 1-0-step interlocking wooden puzzle spread out before it. Its neural pathways have been expanded. Its brain is 30% larger than a wild chimp's. Its prefrontal cortex folds tighter, holding millions more neurons that fire faster than any natural chimp brain. It tilts its head, studies the puzzle, and moves the wooden blocks one by one. It fits the final piece into place in 2 minutes flat, faster than most college students solve the same puzzle. Liddy gestures to the next pod. Inside, a gray wolf paces a large open enclosure. A thin, clean cut runs along its front leg. It received the cut 12 hours ago. When we lean in, the skin is already whole, pink new flesh closing over the wound completely. Accelerated cloned healing, written directly into its DNA. Next pod, a red-tailed hawk perches on a wooden branch. Its engineered retinas let it see in near total darkness, spot a small mouse from 2 miles up. Each uplifted animal wears a neural interface collar that translates direct thought into speech. We turn back to the chimpanzee. It has stood up, walked to the glass, and is staring straight out at us. It tilts its head, the collar hums to life, a clear voice filling the corridor. I want to read a book. Liddy pauses, letting the request hang. For 3.5 billion years, evolution has moved forward, random and slow. Cloning and genetic engineering lets us speed it up. We can give other species the gift of intelligence, if we choose. The corridor goes dead silent after the request. No one speaks. The hum of the life support systems in the pods is the only sound. The chimpanzee still stands at the glass, waiting, head tilted like it already knows what question we have to answer. Liddy pushes off the wall they were leaning on, turns to face us, and their tone drops from curious exploration to sharp, unflinching seriousness. This isn't just about human bodies getting new starts, they say. This isn't just about growing replacement organs or curing disease or even extending human life. All of that is small compared to what this technology lets us do. For the first time in the history of life on Earth, one species gets to rewrite the rules for all the others. We don't have to wait for random mutation. We don't have to wait for millions of years of natural selection. We can reach into any genome, any living thing, pull out the code, rewrite it, clone it, and bring a brand new thinking species into the world. A species that would never have existed without us. Liddy gestures back to the pod, to the chimpanzee that wants to read. It's alive now. It's self-aware. It wants things. It has questions. But did we have the right to make it? Did we have the right to pull another thinking being out of nothing, into a world it didn't ask to be born into, just because we had the technology to do it? Liddy pauses, letting the question sink into the silence. The chimpanzee shifts its weight behind the glass, still waiting. That's the next great question cloning forces us to answer. Do we have the right to bring entirely new thinking beings into the world? We leave the evolution lab, the question still hanging behind us, and walk down a reinforced concrete corridor lined with thick steel blast doors. Liddy stops at the last door, swipes their hand over a panel, and the door slides open with a low hydraulic hiss. This is the Gamma Room. In the center of the empty space, a massive pulsing bioenergetic reactor glows soft acid green. The light reflects off the thick reinforced concrete walls, casting long, shifting shadows across the floor. Controlled, low-dose radiation floods the sealed chamber, targeted to specific regions of any DNA placed inside. It doesn't just randomize the code, it breaks the DNA strand in precise, controlled spots, letting technicians rewrite it base by base, one deliberate change at a time. We step back behind the thick blast-proof glass and watch. The DNA helix inside snaps at pre-marked points, then reforms into new patterns. Better patterns, adapted patterns. Proteins fold into entirely new shapes, taking on new functions, new abilities we can design from scratch. Liddy gestures to a test clone standing inside the radiation field. We trigger a microburst, targeted only to the genes that control healing and cell regeneration. It doesn't turn into a giant monster. It doesn't grow extra limbs or distort into something unrecognizable. It stands still, breathes steady, and waits. When the radiation cuts out, we run the scan. We follow Liddy out of the Gamma Room, the hum of the green reactor fading behind us, and walk into a large circular chamber with walls lined with thick lead shielding. This is the cosmic chamber. Liddy gestures to the air in front of us, where a faint violet haze glows against the black ceiling. It's not human-made radiation. This room is filled with filtered deep space radiation, ultraviolet waves, concentrated solar particles, exotic energy captured directly from solar flares. It's the same energy that has been changing life on Earth for billions of years. The pioneers who first explored what cosmic energy does to DNA inspired this chamber. We already know cosmic radiation causes the mutations that drive natural evolution. Now we just harness it, direct it, concentrate it. We can push life further than it's ever gone before, just by letting the same force that got us here keep doing its work. Liddy gestures through the glass to a test clone standing at the center of the chamber, absorbing the filtered energy. Inside the clone cells, DNA glows like neon circuitry. Every base lights up as it rearranges, aligning into patterns more stable, more efficient than anything that formed through random chance on Earth. Cells divide in fractal patterns, more complex than any natural cell division we've ever observed. After an hour of exposure, the radiation cuts out. The clone steps out of the chamber, steady and calm, no distortion, no damage. We run the full scan. The numbers flash up on the wall one by one. Regeneration is 5 times faster than normal. Connective tissue is 3 times stronger. Neural conductivity is 20% higher. That means faster thoughts, better memory retention, quicker reflexes. Space doesn't just give us room to expand as a species. Litty says, it changes biology itself. It lets us push evolution past every limit Earth ever set. We leave the cosmic chamber, the data from the enhanced clones still glowing on the wall behind us, and move into the final technical lab. This is where the last upgrade waits. Litty stops in front of a large, low platform holding a transparent interface bank and gestures to the hardware above us. This is Memory Bridge 2. The original bridge only copied raw memory data. It left the clone with facts but no feeling, with images but no lived experience to anchor them. That's the problem we couldn't solve with data alone. But 2 doesn't just copy memories. It uploads skills. It copies the trained neural connections that take decades of practice to build and installs them directly into a new brain in minutes. Litty taps the console, and a 3-dimensional map of a trained martial artist's motor cortex projects into the air above the platform. Every connection is marked, every reinforced pathway lit up like a city grid at night. We connect an unenhanced new clone to the interface. The map aligns with the clone's blank neural network. The upload starts. Light streams from the map into the clone's brain, one connection locking into place after another, exactly matching the pattern from the master's trained pathways. 20 years of repetitive practice, thousands of hours of deliberate repetition, all compressed into 10 minutes. When the upload finishes, the clone steps forward. It drops into a fighting stance without being told. It blocks a test strike faster than the human instructor can react. This isn't magic, Litty says. It's just mapping the connections in an expert's brain, then copying that map into a new brain. This is the real superpower. You don't have to spend 10 years learning something new. You can just install it. For the first time in history, evolution isn't just changing your body, it's upgrading your mind. All technical upgrades are complete. Litty walks to the exact center of the bodyverse, which has begun to dissolve around them, the glowing DNA spirals and cell membranes fraying apart into fine stardust that drifts through the open space. The lights dim slightly, focusing all attention on the line that Litty gestures to, extending to their left. One by one, 6 different versions of life step forward into the light, each taking their place in the ordered line. First, the natural, unmodified human steps forward, born the old way, never altered, never edited, holding to the path that brought humanity this far. They stand straight, hands at their sides, calm and unhurried. Second, the unenhanced cloned human steps next, genetically identical to the original, a fresh, healthy copy with no edits, just a new start with the same blueprint. Third, the enhanced cloned human moves into place, carrying every biological upgrade we've seen. Stronger bones, faster healing, longer natural lifespan, all the targeted modifications that push human biology past its original limits. Fourth, the uplifted chimpanzee steps forward, intelligent, self-aware, its neural interface resting at its throat. It tilts its head and meets our gaze directly. No fear, no hesitation. A thinking being born from the old tree of life, remade by our choice. Fifth, the cosmic exposed mutant steps into the light, every cell tuned by deep space radiation, reflexes faster, mind sharper, evolution pushed past Earth's natural limits. Sixth and last, the Neuralink augmented human mind steps into place, carrying all the installed skills, upgraded neural pathways, a mind built for the new world, every ability installed in hours instead of decades. All 6 stand in a perfect line, each representing a clear, open pathway forward. Every possible choice for the future of life is laid out, waiting. The dissolving stardust drifts past the line of 6 beings, catching on the light that pools around each of them. Litty steps forward from the center of the chamber, leaving the empty space behind them, and lets their gaze slide slowly down the line, from the first natural human, all the way to the last augmented mind. They stop. The hum of the bodyverse fades. The only sound is the faint drift of stardust through the open air. 3 full seconds pass. No words, no movement, just 6 pathways laid bare, every choice out in the open. Litty leans forward slightly, their voice dropping, clear enough to reach every corner of the room. For 3.5 billion years, Litty says, evolution was never a choice, it was a roll of the dice. It was random mutation, slow adaptation, death and survival shaping every living thing on this planet, one generation at a time. We didn't get to pick what we became. We just got what we got, and we made the best of it. That's how it's always been. Until now. Now we can read the code. We can copy it, we can edit it, we can rebuild it, base by base, cell by cell, connection by connection. We can grow new bodies. We can upgrade old minds. We can give the gift of consciousness to other branches of the tree of life. We can push our biology past every limit Earth ever set for us. We can harness radiation, we can pull energy from space, we can install skills in hours instead of decades. All of it is possible. Not in some distant century, not in science fiction, right now. The technology already works. The only question left is the one we've been walking toward this entire journey. If evolution stops being a roll of the dice and becomes a choice you get to make. If you can rewrite your DNA, upgrade your body, enhance your mind, copy your memories into a fresh new you. If you can help other species become intelligent thinking beings, if you can push life into entirely new forms no one has ever seen before, if every single one of these paths is open to you, which version of yourself do you choose to become? The question hangs in the air. No echo, no immediate answer, just the words floating soft between the light and the drifting stardust. The fraying of the bodyverse speeds up. The glowing floor under the sixth line of beings dissolves first, turning into fine silver dust that sifts away into the dark. The curved glass walls around the chamber blur next, their fractal lights flickering once, then winking out one by one. Each of the 6 beings glows brighter for a heartbeat, holding their form against the dissolution. Then they too fray at the edges. First the natural human, then the clone, then the enhanced, then the chimpanzee, then the mutant, then the augmented mind. Each dissolves into stardust that drifts outward, not vanishing, just spreading. The last structure to go is the central platform where Liddy stood. It frays from the edges inward, turning into silver dust that mixes with the rest. The darkness closes in. It's not total black. Faint pinpricks of light dot the space, growing brighter as the last of the bodyverse pulls away. They resolve into a field of distant stars, cold and quiet, spread across the entire visible dark. The question is still there. It hangs between the stars, unanswerable, open, waiting. No one speaks. No music swells. The audience is left alone with the choice, just as the question intended. It sinks in slow, spreading through the silence, wrapping around every star. Another full 10 seconds pass. The question still hangs, sharp and clear, between the scattered stars. No movement, no sound. Just the cold pinpricks of light stretching out to the edge of the dark. Then a soft, warm vibration hums up through the empty space. It starts faint, almost unnoticeable, then swells, low and steady, wrapping around the stars in the silence. Liddy's voice comes next. It doesn't come from one direction. It comes from all directions, from the dark between the stars, from the dust that used to be the bodyverse, from every point in the space around the audience. It's still quiet, still calm, but it carries an edge that wasn't there before. The edge of a truth most people don't want to face. We've spent centuries, Liddy says, telling ourselves that humanity is the end point of evolution, the final form, the perfect result of 3.5 billion years of random change. We draw a line in the dirt between us and every other living thing. We say this side is human, this side is us. Everything else is lesser, animal, unthinking, meant to serve us. That story worked for a long time. It got us where we are today. But it's not true anymore. It can't be true anymore. Not when we hold the code of life in our hands. The line we drew is starting to blur. We can grow new humans from scratch. We can lift other animals up to our level of consciousness. We can rewrite our own DNA into forms that don't look anything like the humans who walked out of Africa 200,000 years ago. We can push life past every limit we've ever known. Change is coming, whether we want it or not. And the first thing we have to accept is this. The future will not belong only to humans, as we know humans today. The words fade. The hum holds steady, low and warm, wrapping around the silence that follows. The distant stars shift, slow and almost unnoticeable, until they draw a loose spiral pattern across the dark, the same shape we traced walking up the DNA helix, billions of years of evolution written in light. Liddy's voice doesn't fade. It stays centered, steady, unflinching, cutting through the dark without raising its volume. Evolution never cared about form, it says. It never cared about what we look like, what lineage we come from, what label we put on ourselves. It only cares about one thing. It only ever has. Can you adapt to change? Can you adjust when the world around you shifts? Can you rewrite your own code to fit the new reality that's coming? For 3.5 billion years, that rule hasn't changed. It won't change now, not even when we hold the power to rewrite the code ourselves. The whole history of life on Earth is written in adaptation. Single cells came together to make complex organisms. Fish crawled out of the water onto dry land. Primates climbed down from the trees and walked across the savannah. Humans picked up tools and built civilizations and sent rockets into space. Every step was a change. Every step was an adaptation to a new world. Now we get to choose what that next step looks like. We don't have to wait for random mutation. We don't have to wait for slow, generations-long change. We can make the change ourselves, in a single lifetime. Whatever form that change takes, whatever shape it gives us, whoever we choose to become, the rule still holds. The closing truth lands, soft but unshakable. The future doesn't care what you are. It only cares if you can change. And when all is said and done, the future belongs to whoever adapts. The words hang. The warm hum still holds, low and steady, wrapping around the final truth. The spiral of stars glows bright for a full 10 seconds, holding the pattern, holding the question that opened the whole exploration. If evolution becomes a choice, which version of yourself do you choose to become? The question echoes soft, once, through the dark between the stars, faint enough that you almost miss it, clear enough that it sticks. Then the outermost stars start to fade. One by one, they dim from bright neon to faint pinpricks, then vanish into the dark. The spiral unwinds slow, losing a point every 2 seconds, the DNA pattern breaking apart piece by piece, just as it broke apart when we unzipped the helix to start the cloning process. The warm hum softens along with the stars. It doesn't cut out. It fades, step for step, matching the vanishing light. The last star in the center holds. It glows bright, alone in the vast dark, for 5 full seconds. It holds the weight of everything we've seen. The double helix, the growing clone, the uplifted chimp, the enhanced mutant, the 6 versions of life lined up waiting for choice. Then it dims. It fades to nothing. The screen pulls into pure black. The hum lingers for another 8 seconds, soft and steady, before it too starts to fade. It shrinks, lower and lower, until it's just a faint vibration at the edge of hearing. Then it's gone. Only silence remains. The black holds. No images, no words, just space. Space to think, space to wonder, space to answer that final question for yourself.